Very good morning to all of you, and thank you very much for taking our time to join us on a Sunday for this webinar on child rights that we are having to coincide with the occasion of Children's Day and Child Rights Day, which is the culmination of the Legal Literacy Week that is being celebrated by the Government of India. This webinar is being organized jointly by the Department of Justice of the Government of India and the Center for Child Rights and Juvenile Justice of the National Law University, Delhi, which I would like to just take a moment to introduce you to, since it is a new center. And it was set up to focus on the specific rights of children as a group in need of care and protection through research, training and capacity building, policy intervention, strategic litigation, as well as public engagement and outreach. Today, also, any discussion on child rights has to focus on the pandemic and the disproportionate impact that it has had on children, be it an increase in child labor, child marriage, decline in nutritional or educational standards, or the welfare of those orphaned by the pandemic. And these are some of the issues that we hope to be engaging with through our research and outreach programs. And we hope that we will be reaching out to many of you in the days to come to introduce ourselves and to get some of this work started. And we really look forward to working with you all on these important issues of child rights in various dimensions. Without further ado, I would like to just give a brief introduction, as you've already seen, to the events that are planned for today. As you've already seen in the agenda, we will have some opening remarks by the Vice Chancellor of the National Law University, Delhi, Professor Sri Krishna Dev Rao, who's also going to be talking about India's commitment to child rights and the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child. We will then be having comments and remarks by many dignitaries, including Mr. Aftab Muhammad, who is Child Protection Officer of UNICEF India, Mr. Anant Kumar Asthana, who is a leading child rights advocate in India, Mr. Ashutosh Srivastav, who is the Program Manager of the Department of Justice of the Government of India, and finally, we will be having closing remarks by our respected Registrar of the National Law University, Professor Anupama Goyal, who is an expert in constitutional law and will hopefully give us some insight into the constitutional perspectives related to the aspects of strengthening child protection systems in India. With that, I would like to hand over to Professor Sri Krishna Dev Rao for his welcoming remarks and his speech. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mihira. Good morning to all. I'm delighted to welcome you all to this webinar on child rights, jointly organized by Center for Child Rights and Juvenile Justice, National Law University, Delhi, and Department of Justice, Government of India, as part of the celebrations of 75 years of Indian independence, Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. Today is also a special occasion. The November 14th, we celebrate as a Children's Day and also as the birthday of the first Prime Minister of India, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru ji. Children are the most vulnerable citizens that have been guaranteed special rights in the Indian Constitution. And also, if you look at the United Nations Convention on Rights to Child, further, they have re-emphasized, acknowledged for the first time at the international level that children also are the right holders. And also they have emphasized that the states and instrumentalities of the state and governments all over the world has a duty to protect and promote child rights. This historic UN Convention on Child Rights took 10 years, and that was an attempt to bring several of these provisions relating to child rights, which are there in Universal Declaration of Human Rights, International Covenant on Civil Political Rights, Social Economic Rights. They are spread over several of the international human rights instruments. I think this 10 years of the work, which culminated in the 1989 UN Convention on Child Rights, was a historic document. If you look at the reception of these UNCRC by governments all over the world, most forthcoming. In fact, people say this is perhaps one of the widely ratified international instruments, and governments were enthusiastic to sign this United Nations Convention on Rights to Children. Government of India has ratified in the year 1992. I think that shows the importance and significance we have given for the protection and promotion of child rights. The 54 articles of the Child Rights Convention, which are the tools created by the world community to advance the notion of human rights of the children. This is, as I said, the first international instruments that provided rights-based approach to the children's issue. CRC also guarantees rights to children for a healthy survival, such as rights to development, education, healthcare, freedom from physical, mental, and sexual abuse or exploitation. The Child Rights Convention also guarantees the children right to participate meaningfully. Its provisions support and strengthen the family as the primary environment where these freedoms are given birth and fostered. Let me make an attempt to look at, I think, 6 important responses the Government of India has given to implement the Child Rights Convention. The first is the historic 2000 Act. We know we have the first 1986 Juvenile Justice Act, but after the UNCRC, the Government of India fell to bring a new legislation. In fact, this is stated in the objects and the reasons for the 2000 Act. The first time the CRC was invoked, when India enacted the Juvenile Justice Care and Protection Act 2000. Now look at the words really mean. Care and protection was emphasized for the first time in the 2000 legislation. And the Government of India said, having ratified the UNCRC, it is necessary to enact the existing legislations and bearing in mind the standards prescribed in the Convention on the Rights of the Children. I think this legislation for the first time has brought these 2 important the child in conflict with law and child in care and protection. And they have also mentioned in section 2, clause 12, that a person who has not attained the age of 18 years is a juvenile. Second important response we could see is 2015 Act. 2015 Act, which is something which is again a unique, is a chapter 3 was incorporated into the 2015 legislation, 16 principles. I think 2000 Act for the first time has brought in these child in conflict with law and children in care and protection, and also articulated for the first time best interests of the children and child-friendly procedure. But 2015 legislation added a third chapter 3, which explained with 16 principles, laying down the guidelines for dealing with children taken from the United Nations Child Rights Convention, UDHR, and Beijing rules. And thirdly, if you look at the prohibiting the detention of the children in prisons under 18 is another important instrument we could see the government of India has adopted following the CRC and UN standard minimum rules for the administration of juvenile justice, we call as a Beijing Rules 1985. The third one is even the passing of the Commission for the Protection of Child Rights also is in response to the international obligations India, particularly in the field of protection of child rights. Look at 2012, after the Justice Verma Committee, and then this Protection of Children from Sexual Offences Act is also one of the important reasons, in fact, which is stated in the statements and objects of the reasons of the Protection of Children from Sexual Offences Act 2012. This is again in consonance with the Child Rights Convention. Lastly, we could look at the right of the child to privacy and confidentiality throughout all the stages of the judicial process was also adopted directly from Article 40, Clause 2, 4 of the CRC. I think this shows the government of India's commitment, particularly in the area of child rights. Indian Supreme Court, government of India is already in the forefront and implementation and guaranteeing child rights. Let me conclude with few observations. The international community has over several decades sought to protect and safeguard children through various instruments: Declaration of Geneva, Universal Declaration of Human Rights, Declaration of Rights of the Child, which culminated ultimately in the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child. The major credit goes to the Child Rights Convention for acknowledging and recognizing children as a right holders and reinforcing the state's duty to ensure fulfillment of these rights. I think it's our endeavor, all of us, the National Law University Delhi Center for Child Rights and Juvenile Justice is committed to carry forward the mission of justice to children, to provide and safeguard and further ensure much more care, protection, compassion, affection, and love towards the children. Let me conclude in the memorable words of Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru that I quote, "Children are like birds in the garden and should be carefully and lovingly nurtured, as they are the future of the nation, and the citizens of today will be the citizens of tomorrow." Thank
you. Thank you very much, Professor Rao, for giving such a comprehensive overview and some great insights into how India has actually been, in many ways, at the forefront of the child rights protection agenda, and has extremely progressive laws, and we really need to work hard on implementing them. And to that end, I would now like to invite Mr. Aftab Muhammad, who's a child protection officer with UNICEF India, who is going to speak to us on how to strengthen the child protection system, which I think is actually a very good segue from where Professor Rao has left off. We have excellent legislations and very forward-thinking policies in place. And now the question is, how do we strengthen what we already have? And I now hand over to Mr. Aftab Muhammad to tell us a little bit about that.
Thank you, Mihira. Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Rao, Madam Registrar of National Law University, Delhi, representative from Department of Justice, Government of India, fellow panelists, faculty members, and all the advocates, practitioners for child rights, child protection in India. As Mihira said, this is a good segue from what Professor Rao has said. Child protection system and how it works, how and what we all need to do to strengthen child protection system in India. Just to want to take what Professor Rao said, that we have laws, policies, standards, rules. Now, it's very important that these are put into practice. And that's where I brings the perspective of practitioners, those who work in the field. And it will be not out of place to talk about some comparison from health system to understand our own child protection system. What happens when a person falls ill? The person go to the primary health center or any doctor, private practitioners. If the doctors ask for test, if that required, prescribe medicines. If something very serious, then they refer to the secondary level district hospitals, other hospitals, that level. Person go through treatment at that level. If something more critical, then it referred to the tertiary level in the specialized, super specialized centers of medical care. And that's the system of the reference system. It happens and how it works. One, the legal frameworks for the medical also, what need to be done, which is applicable for the doctors, those who run the institutions, those who run the clinics and nursing homes. In the same way, all the professionals, whether it's the doctors, paramedicals, physiotherapists, so and so forth. So there are certain rules, standards, parameters they need to follow. And to train them, there is a whole range of training institute, medical colleges, right from the laboratory person to the operation theater persons, paramedicals, and to the super specialization medical. So that's the thing. So that's where our child protection system also need to look at, and we can learn some good practices from the other system. If we really want that our system, child protection system, really work for care and protection and justice for children, we must really invest in few critical things. And to start with, first, the human resource development, workforce. All those who are working for children, with children, they must have required skills, knowledge, and practice. If we are not going to have that training, required training, that skills, at times it is going to be the counterproductive. The outcomes, desired outcomes we expect from the system will not be and never be. And to train them, that the current system of the training, organizing 2 days training, 3 days training, using any manuals, it is not going to work. So this is the time, because today Department of Justice and the very reputed university and his vice chancellor is also present, registrar is present, faculty members are present. It's really to reimagine the whole capacity building for the child protection cadre. It's really, we have to move from one-off training to the whole competency-based training for the child protection personnel, right from the grassroots level to the district level, or those who are working at the state level, or providing specialized services to the children in conflict with law, or children in a special need, or so and so forth. So that is one thing that we have to move from the general, usual one-off training to more systematic, competency-based training. A. B. Any system cannot really work efficiently if the system is not able to attract talent. So we also have to take a pause and look who all are coming. Do the best mind, talent, this sector able to attract, whether in the government system or the civil society system? That is the reflection we all need to make sure that the talented new talents come in the system. Salary, remuneration should be competitive. Only motivations, career development, promotions, exposures, job satisfactions, all these are very important. So we need to, if we really want that the system should work, first attract the talent, and retain the talents. That is one thing. And there must be a clear career path for those professionals. Suppose a young girl and boy of age 22, 24 years join this sector. How they really able to see their career path in next 10 years, 15 years, and 20 years? If they remain at the district level doing the same work, definitely it is not going to be motivational and they are not going to stay there. So we need to look at those aspects. Retention, first the attracting and retention of the time and the whole. Third, very important thing, a performance appraisal system. It is very important, any system, how we will know that our people hold all those who are working with the district level child, district child protection unit or state level or CWC, JJP, counselors with NGO, they are really performing. So what is the system currently? And systems should be really smart, modern, with the modern management thinking. And that we really need to bring in that perspective in the whole system. You really want to push it. Performance system, while we are also, Department of Justice is there and we talk about legal aid, do we have any system for the performance appraisal of the panel's lawyer, those who are on the panel? Are we attracting the best budding lawyers to this first of all? Are we paying enough so that they are motivated and they want to be on the panel? And we all know that the cash is not only the one factor for motivations. They need cash plus. There are many other factors, enabling environments, motivations, appreciations, working environment. Are we providing those to the panel lawyers? And what kind of systems we have for appraisal? So one, the whole gamut of this workforce development, human resource development. Second point on the system, if we draw the parallel from the health system, it is very important to have importance of data. So far in child protections, we have not really able to appreciate the importance of data. MIS system, information management system. Look at the health, they are evolving and they are far ahead. If we really want to see that how many children in conflict with law in one observation home for last 3 months to 6 months, the same way children in need of care and protection, all those are there, but it's not in a coherent manner. It is not evolved child protection information system, data system. That is very important. And why it is important? For 2 reasons. One, for decision making. If our district has allocated certain amount of budget, the district level officers, those who are responsible for the implementation of the scheme, should be able to see that how much money has come and what is the utilization rate by each quarter. How many children they are able to reach, how many children are still stuck. And why we talk about the stuck, we also learn from the other countries' mistake. Many countries has really complicated, comprehensive system, but we know there are so many evidences, research, which indicates those countries elaborate system where file moves, children stuck. Do we want that kind of system? Or do we want the system that our paramount consideration should be children not only on paper, but in practice? And for that, our whole system should be designed in such a manner that children should be the first. Other process should will take later. It is not the compromising the process, but we should not, the staff should not have that attitude that do the first process and the children is dying and is stuck in the whole system. So whole attitude that's really required, the way of designing the system is very important. And therefore, MIS system for monitoring the schemes, A, B, monitoring whether the system, services, programs are reaching to children or not. It can be monitored at the district level, at the state level, by the head of the departments, whether it's the Women and Child Development Department or Social Welfare, whoever the nodal agency for the implementation of the schemes, they're able to see that and take the corrective measures. So that's the other. Third thing, for any system, health system again, it cannot be, we know, no matter how best health system we can design, and in the COVID, we have seen the need to further strengthen the health system, same with the child protection system. Our system almost stops at the district level. In India, where the district population is 1 million to 3 million, in some cases 3.5 million population. In that, 2 social workers in 1 DCPU, who is also providing services to the DCPU as well as SJPU, and all other works, do we expect for the population of 3.5 million, they will be able to do any justice? So that's where we have to see that make appropriate budget, make appropriate human resource below district level. How it can be done, that's really not need to discuss. And here that the evidences from the institute and the university like National Law University and the Child Rights Center can really do more research, bring more evidences that how best that the system can be designed so that they're able to reach to the children living remotely in any village. Within that, we also must acknowledge in India that the role of the community, the whole system, when we talk about, and most of the discourse on the child protection care and protection and justice for children starts only when something happened. And it was same with the health system. When people fall sick, then the medical treatment starts. But now the health system has learned the community medicine, preventive medicine, public medicines. Same way we have to also in the child protection must really emphasize and acknowledge and work towards a strengthening community-based preventive system. We should not really wait that Mohan in a village really suffering for last 6 months, and when he became victim, only then the system should arrive. How that the system should really read the signals that he is in the red zone and must really provide preventive services. What need to be done? How the community members, parents can play positive role for the care, protection, and justice of children. And we should not really undermine or underestimate the power of the community. And in our own traditional system, we know that they're not always for when the children need that the police or somebody will go in the village. The first front line, if I may say so, are the people, community members, relatives. How we can provide tools, techniques, sensitize them and give up a space and opportunity to them to come forward and support and help their children, their neighbors' children, their communities in which children are living for the protection from the abuse, neglect, violence, and exploitations. So the role of community-based mechanism, we must really, it is there on the paper that in every village there will be a child protection committee. It will be really good to really go have a quick assessment. What are the status of those committees? What are the investments that have been made to activate those committees? What kind of supports has been made so that those committees can really fulfill their mandates? And it will not become just the committee, but a force, reckoning force in the community to protect their own children within their community. And only those who require the higher, they can be referred to the formal system. There should be really community level should be aware how to access the services. They should know in the village, every village, committee should aware who are the CWC members, JGB members, SJPU members, SARA, and where to approach, suppose anything happened to a child to seek support for them. So that's the system. Now, fourth components of the system, again, I would like to highlight here that for any system, it is really required the oversight mechanism, monitoring, whether system is working or not. It should be a system to pulse check. What is the lacuna in the system? What are the intended results we are getting or not? And that's where these oversights and peers review are important. And here I propose that it will be really good to have, suppose one district people can to the other people. It is not for the inspection, but for the learnings, for peers review, peer support, we can call it. when we call about the inspection, people get alert and try to see everything right. When we say that it is a support visit, people may be open to get feedback. So how that the one DCPU can go to the other district to see what are the some of the good things are there, some of the glaring gaps are there. Both the visiting and the host district can discuss, debate, and come up with some solutions, and that how that the cross learning can happen and support can happen. That is one. Oversight now under the new amendments, the role of DM is critical. How that we need to, and here again I will ask both the Department of Justice and the University Child Rights Center to come up and create tools for the DM, knowing that he or she is so busy. What will be the quick checklist, quick tools for them so that they're able to monitor it, give oversight, and see whether the system is functioning in our district or not. The same whether the oversight at the state level by the principal secretary or the secretary of the department, head of department. In addition to that, Professor Rao has also mentioned about the Child Rights Commission, both the State Child Rights Commission and National Child Rights Commission. They have also a critical role to ensure to safeguarding of the children's right and oversight whether these schemes, these programs, these laws are getting implemented in letter and spirits. Is there any oversights? Is there any glaring gaps that commission could bring the notice to the government and the executive that these are the lacuna they have to take actions? We further know that in India, at least, we have a system and judiciary monitoring system, oversight system, Honorable Supreme Court Committee on Juvenile Justice and High Court Committees on Juvenile Justice. They have also playing important role, and how that further they continue to that. And the MIS system, which I was talking a while ago, can really help them to understand where are the issues. Data should really tell them where are the bottlenecks, and so that judiciary can really bring to the attention to the executives to the some of the gaps which we are facing. I hope that I'm not taking much time, that with one point, no matter how beautiful systems we design, but at the end of the day, who runs the system? We people. And for that, it is very important the essence of collaborations, coordinations, partnership. Not one department for child protection particularly can really protect and provide care and justice to all children. Here is the need of better coordination among all the key stakeholders, among executives, judiciary, within executives, district magistrate, DCPU, SJPU, AHTU, judicial side. All those has to come together, social workers and role of the civil society organization, especially those who are working for care and protection of children in the field, child life. All have to really that whole the culture of collaborations should be really promoted, and that could not be through. Can we think about to create an ecosystem for the collaborations? What are the metrics we have developed which can really facilitate coordinations and collaboration among these characters? Do have certain mechanisms. When I say mechanism, it doesn't mean just the meeting, monthly meeting. We know that many a times monthly meeting and too many meetings also became a hindrance in delivering the services, because the officer, those who should be the providing the services to the children, are sitting in the various meetings. So we have to be innovative here to find out the different ways, tools, methods of collaborations, partnership, convergence for better outcome for children, care, protection, and justice. Here I stop. Once again, thank you, National Law University and Department of Justice for organizing this talk. And I hope that we will continue to debate, discuss, and come out with some concrete measures to strengthen child protection system, which will not be just the symptoms based, but the system based. Thank you once again.
Thank you very much, Mr. Aftab Muhammad. And may I now invite Mr. Anant Kumar Asthana, one of India's leading child rights advocates and somebody with really ground level granular knowledge of the implementation challenges of some of our laws and policies. Anant, over to you.
Thank you, Meera, and respected Professor Rao, my friend Aftab, and many other friends. This is really a good time to stop and think. I mean, these kind of discussions we keep having among ourselves. All of us are deeply concerned about it, how we implement the laws better, in what way we can contribute. I don't know what new I can say today, because this is something we all talk 24/7, right? So I don't know what is the new I'm gonna bring, but let me do some sharing. Last year I was invited to talk to an academy on ensuring prosecution in child labor cases. And what I did on my own, I collected a very small sample of decisions of courts, criminal courts, where child labor cases have been taken, and I was surprised to see that the reason most of the judgments resulted into acquittal was not that the accused was very smart. It was our own creation, the task force. There is a task force which has been created under child labor laws, and this task force is around 5, 6, 7 people. CWC, Childline, police, NGO, all of them go with lots of fanfare and enthusiasm and rescue a child. But that exact initiative to implement the law works against the case when these are the same people who are called to court to give testimony. They end up giving mutually contradicting testimonies, and you don't require a good lawyer because they are self-destructing the case. They don't remember. All they remember is to go to rescue. After that, they don't remember. When they land up in the court, one person says, I saw the child playing outside. Other person says, no, I saw the child sleeping in the room, right? The conflict comes on record, acquittal, right? Task force. Task force, I personally know how much effort has been made nationally to roll out task force. But because we have loosely rolled it out without investing into properly explaining what is the responsibility of the task force members, at least take notes what you saw, at least talk to the IO who has recorded your statement, right? And I can give you countless examples. Few years ago, I was teaching law on bail to the judicial officers of who preside over as principal magistrates. And there was a principal magistrate who was a junior to me in university. So I met that officer in the evening over dinner, and then I asked her, how was the session? And then she said, Anand, session was nice, but I'm sorry, I can't implement it. Why can't you implement it? Then she said, you can tell us how many you can keep teaching us that under JJ Act there is a section 12 and the bail is mandatory, but you know what happens in the courts in reality? The lawyer who is actually smart in a grave offense comes to JJB and asks for dismissal, that you dismiss, and then the lawyer moves to the session court on the next day, because conventionally it is not okay for subordinate judges to grant bail in serious offenses. And now that is a perception. Doesn't matter how much case law I teach on bail, that is the social reality. And she said it's very difficult to implement that. Subsequently, she did some daring. So the environment in the judicial system is also not conducive. Look at the like, for example, if I am a principal magistrate, if I implement JJ Act, I will damage my own career. I will damage my own career, because the indicators for assessing my performance are still regulated by the criminal law. they have not been revised by the judicial system. So a principal magistrate is still evaluated on the basis of how many acquittal, how many conviction. So suppose if I terminate 300 cases on the ground of delay, I lose all the cases where I could have generated points which would have counted, in my promotional career. So talking about implementation is like the goal post, runs so fast that we are unable to catch it. The moment we catch it, it gets shifted, 2 kilometers ahead. That is the crisis where we are as of now. In past 15 years, let me remind everyone how many laws we have created for children, right? Around 10 laws since 2005, CPCR Act, right? CPCR Act. Now look at the condition. The commissions have turned themselves into mockery. The way the cognizance is taken, the way the inquiries are conducted. Why we still have a faith in the National Human Rights Commission? Because at least they know how to take cognizance, at least they know how to conduct inquiries, at least they know how. Here in the commissions you find every member is conducting one personal inquiry, posting on Facebook, writing on some random email. How do you inspire confidence if the commissions do not have a protocol on how they function? Sorry to say, but commissions have turned out to be a great disappointment, and there is a Supreme Court judgment where Supreme Court has actually taken note of it and have raised an alarm. What I was thinking is that what needs to be done is that the effort which we are doing, training, social awareness, creating public support for these laws. For example, look at the Right to Information Act, supported by people. That's why the implementation was better. Look at the Scheduled Caste and Scheduled Tribe Act, supported by people's movement. That's why there was a little better implementation. Unfortunately, in case of children laws, most of the commitment which comes from the political class is not at the level of implementation. It's morely at the level of lip surveys, like children are our future. But how, if you do not create sufficient financial assistance? In 2012, for example, let me tell you, the Supreme Court came out with a report called the Supreme Court Case Management System. And in that report, they have said something very important. They have said to the government, please do not legislate if you can't put money, right? Look at the POCSO Act. The POCSO Act is suffering because of lack of financial support. We have a very ambitious 2020 POCSO rules where child welfare committees have been given mandate to give interim relief. Now there is no money for interim relief. What is the point of writing this in the law? There is no financial allocations made in regard to that. What I was thinking is in terms of what do we add new? One is that I look at the Law Commission of India, and maybe it will be important if the Law Commission. We actually tried, during the tenure of Justice A.P. Shah, it was taken up. It couldn't proceed further. I don't know where it got stuck, but maybe the audit of laws, for example, child labor law, the JJ Act, conflicting. Child marriage law, POCSO law, conflicting. Independent thought judgment has come in, but still there are conflicting areas, right? Lots of laws. Aadhaar Act conflicts with the JJ Act. Audit of laws so that at least we protect the system from any kind of legal ambiguity. That can be one contribution. Second, I was thinking, and I do it on a very small scale in my own work. I pay a lot of attention on administrative and financial governance. How money moves from which file to which file and where are the bottlenecks. For example, the contractual character of DCPU is a major problem, because the law says that the district child protection officer is the nodal head, but this district child protection officer is a contractual post in most part of the country. He or she doesn't have financial power to approve any finances. So doesn't mean what you have written in the law, the contractual posting. So what I personally do, I pay attention to these small governance related aspects and try to take it up. But I think it is well beyond individuals like me. An institution has to take up a governance audit. I have been talking about it so far. There is a consensus that it can be done, but how it can be done, I know that UNICEF has rolled out a program, I think last year, where they have looked at the working conditions of the child protection units. But I'm talking about in general. Look at how in a district, judges, police, child protection system, administration, how they come together to implement a law, and where are the financial and governance related bottlenecks, and come out with solutions as to what kind of reforms in administration needs to be done. In Delhi, we are trying to get a cadre review done, because last time the cadre was created was under the 1986 Act. Right now, 1986, we are in 2015. The capacity of the government department to deliver onto the increased commitment has to be upscaled, and the way to that is cadre review. When Justice Nandra Jog was in Delhi High Court, he ordered for cadre review for health department, and you see the impact in Delhi. At least the capacity of the department has increased. So cadre review, we are trying to push through some judicial proceedings in the Delhi High Court. But I think cadre review is only one way of looking at it. But in general, an audit of governance, I think I will leave today's discussion on that. These two ideas, I think I will place before this August forum for thinking. Thank you very much, Mihira.
Thanks, Anand. This is exactly the kind of knowledge and information we need on how the laws are being implemented in the country. And this is exactly the kind of perspective that is extremely meaningful in terms of feedback. May I now invite Mr. Ashutosh Srivastava of the Department of Justice. He's the program manager of the Department of Justice, and he's been instrumental in setting up this webinar, which is the culmination of Legal Literacy Week, which starts on 8th November and ends on 14th of November with Child Rights Day. Mr. Ashutosh, over to you.
Ashutosh, unmute, please.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mihira ji, for introducing. Respected Vice Chancellor of NLUD, Professor K.D. Rao, sir, Mr. Aftab Mohammed, Child Protection Specialist, UNICEF, very popular child rights advocate, Mr. Anant Asthana, Professor Amita Punj, for providing initial lead, and of course, Mihira ji, and officers from DoJ, and my colleagues from Access to Justice Division. And this webinar is presently, there's a webcast happening through CSC, Center for Child Common Service Centers. This is the webcast is happening for Common Service Centers, frontline functionaries. So we are thankful for them. I'm directly coming to my topic. How Department of Justice can address child rights issues through its ongoing program. And Professor Rao is very much familiar with the Access to Justice project of Department of Justice. And it was started in 2007, 2008, and it was a project only. But gradually, and now this child is grown, and there's a dedicated Access to Justice division in the department. And recently, in 2021, April 2021, DoJ launched a scheme called DISHA, Designing Innovative Solutions and Holistic Access to Justice for All. Aims to merge all the access to justice programs and upscale them on India level, on all India level. And I'm briefly going to talk about key programs happening, implemented in the country First is tele-law program, and yesterday there was a mega event, and where MLJ, honorable MLJ, and senior government officials from various participants from various departments, ministries actively participated in the event. Citizens tele-law app was launched, and frontline functionaries under the tele-law program. There are more than 90,000 frontline functionaries in 34 states. So best performing functionaries were felicitated by the MLJ, and this under the tele-law program. This is an e-integration. E-interaction is available between lawyers and beneficiaries through tele-law video conferencing infrastructure, which is available at CSC, Common Service Centers. So there's a partnership with the CSC, Common Service Centers, and it is implemented in 34 states. And in tele-law program, we regularly acknowledge cases of child rights violations, especially cases of child sexual abuse, child marriage cases, where pre-litigation advisors are provided by trained lawyers. Second program is Nyaya Bandhu program, and where DoJ is trying to develop a culture of pro bono lawyering in the country. Especially yesterday, the MLJ, honorable MLJ, highlighted a matter like where those can't afford expensive legal aid system, there should be some support available, maybe from lawyers, fraternity. So second, under the Nyaya Bandhu program, we are trying to develop this culture of pro bono lawyering. Third program is Nyaya Mitra program, where DoJ is assisting district judiciary in reduction of decade-old cases, where closely Nyaya Mitra is working closely with the district judiciary, identifying 10-year-old cases and how to expedite disposal of such cases. Under the fourth program, legal literacy and legal awareness program, I see direct scope of engaging with the community. Aftabji highlighted importance of ground level workforce, importance of community level awareness, community level preparedness, community level response. So here we see direct scope of engaging with such institutions, civil society organizations. Focus of this program is to enable the vulnerable sections of society to have access to information about their legal rights, entitlements, and creating better legal awareness, so that there's a clarity and about the justice delivery system, and system is gradually made citizen-centric. Earlier, this program was implemented only in Northeastern and JNK. Now there's this program has been scaled up, and this is now implemented on pan-India level. In next 5 years, we plan to support 55 projects, and we are looking for interesting, innovative proposals on child rights issues. In fact, this year only, DoJ selected 9 projects, and I'm happy to share with you. Out of these projects, there are specific projects focusing on child rights issues, like they are training and sensitizing media. They are training and sensitizing functionaries on child sexual abuse cases, and in next 4-5 years, we look forward to good number of proposals, especially on child rights issues, so that ground level support, community level support, community level organization or civil society organizations can be supported, or so that we have a proactive support. Aftabji made a comparison with the health system. I often do such comparison because in health system we see role of important role played by compounders. And if you see our legal system, we have a good number of lawyers, and they are available, they are providing their services, but immediately something is happening at the at the ground community level, but we look for support. In time support, we need good number of informed, trained paralegal volunteers or a compounder or legal compounders on ground, so that something is happening when Anand talked about importance of case management. So wherever evidences are gathered properly and helped, victims are helped in the legal process. So we need to have important field level functionaries, and I'm happy good number of field level functionaries under the telelaw program is participating, is they're witnessing, they're acknowledging this webinar, and it's a regular process, regular trainings are happening, and child protection laws are part of our contents. So I'm optimistic that this kind of efforts are acknowledged by our field level functionaries. Under this legal literacy program, collectively we have put our thoughts together. For example, and then we are focusing on one component, each one teach 10. We are taking this lead from Kerala. Kerala is high on literacy rate, and there was a campaign, each one teach one. But considering the amount of violence happening, when you open newspaper in the morning, all forms of violence against children you can witness. So considering the amount of violence happening today, we need good, strong workforce and immediate response of community. So in case, for example, we are in a project, we are targeting 5,000 persons to be trained. So we are trying to convince, motivate our direct beneficiaries, our direct participants. You are trained, now it's a responsibility of yours to identify your friends, your family members, your community people, to share your information, share your knowledge, so that they are also informed and they can collectively become a kind of deterrent. Something is, I mean, like they are acting as a deterrent, and some preventive approaches. We have some mechanism of preventive approach, like if something is happening, definitely we need to counter them with the laws. But how to prevent such cases? We need to have a strong community level support. And there are visionaries. Professor Rao is here, and in last 20 years, 25 years, and we have done a lot. But when we see newspapers in the morning, we are not at all happy. Those are attending this webinar will agree with me. When you open newspaper and number of cases, all forms of cases happening, and I'm also concerned if you do close analysis of such violations. For example, cases registered under POCSO Act, increasing trend of such violations, violations. So it's alarming, and purpose of this functionaries, all workforce, and then those are supporting this kind of cause, is not only like to just talk about it, but we need to change this thing, and we need immediate change, like a change which we can acknowledge. There are laws, but because you will agree with me, like सिर्फ हंगामा खड़ा करना अपना मकसद नहीं है, and सारी कोशिश है कि तस्वीर बदलनी चाहिए. When we open newspaper in the morning, when we start getting some smiles out of these reported cases, reported best practices, then this is the purpose of collective concrete steps in the best interest of children. सर ये we feel ये तस्वीर कैसे बदलेगी, इस दिशा में कुछ और करने की जरूरत है, और बाकी स्पीकर्स ने इसको हाईलाइट भी किया अपने बातों में. And we need more community level initiatives, inform community level support, so that there's a immediate support. When, for example, when a child who's a CNCP, a child in need of care and protection, that person, that child is getting a required response, proactive response, and there's a protection available for that child. And in absence of such support and such response, you may have seen CNCPs, children in need of care and protection, are turning into another category. They are becoming CICL, children in conflict with law. So it is our responsibility. This is the collective responsibility of all of us to respect, protect, and fulfill their child rights, so that they are not going in another category. The CNCPs are not going in another category, CICL. And children are also, they have a right to participation. Let us inform and empower our children so that they are clear where to go, what to do when they are in need of support. I would like to give one example. Now we get to know adolescent girls are reporting their child marriage cases. So now they are informed, they know the number where to approach, they dial those numbers, and they are doing something for their best interest, and they have this right, their right to participation. And there are programs happening, safe school programs are happening, and we need to amplify, we need to replicate such models. And there was recently a development in Rajasthan. There was a law coming up, and collectively civil society, all the functionaries, all the agencies came together, and they informed, they engaged with the state. If you have this kind of mandatory report registration of marriages, this can have larger child interest, so, and that law was not proceeded further. So that kind of proactive support is also required. And Aftabji talked about a strengthened child protection system. And definitely we need increased visibility of child protection system. Like we need active, proactive CWPOs, child welfare police officers. Because when we approach as a common citizen, somebody is approaching a police person because of their dress, the person is not aware that this police official belongs to anti-human trafficking unit, or that person is CWPO or some other category. But basic clarity should be there. Immediate support can be provided through CWPOs or SJPUs. One-stop centers are coming up, and we are getting very, very good response. So this model to be amplified, or need-based support should be there. DCPUs are also getting strengthened day by day, and visibility is important of DCPUs. VLC PCs, village level child protection committees are there, but we need to further increase their visibility, their action, their training, so that there's a proactive preventive response from their side. And in the end, I would like to share increased budgetary allocation for children. Anandji has pointed out this point. We have 40% population of children in this country, but you do a comparison of their population and budgetary allocations. So definitely we need to increase budgetary allocations so that we have enough resources for their survival, for their development, for their protection, and for their ensuring their participation. I would like to end here, and I sincerely acknowledge, I express my gratitude to NLUD for making this webinar possible. And on behalf of Department of Justice, Ministry of Law and Justice, Government of India, I'm thankful, and I would like to thank each one of you for sparing your time on Sunday. And this shows your commitment for child rights. In the end, I would like to say, wish you all a very, very happy Children's Day. Thank you so much. Over to you, Meera.
Thank you so much, Ashutosh ji. May I now open the floor for questions, if anybody has any, even if the speakers would like to engage with each other, or any of the participants have any questions. As always, may I request that you introduce yourself when you're asking a question, and try to keep it short and a question. Thank you very much.
My name is Dr. Yasir Latif, and I'm a faculty member in Central University of Kashmir.
All right, just 1 second. May I request that going forward, all those who have questions just raise their hands so I can view the queue. But yes, go ahead.
Okay. My specific question is to Honorable Vice Chancellor of National Law University and our esteemed panelist, Advocate Asthana. The question is that since this UT of J&K, we have only the designated juvenile police officers, but we do not have the sophisticated, I mean to say, the individual, infrastructure, institution as juvenile juvenile police station. So what are your suggestions that how can we go for it?
I think Anant is the better person to answer. Yes, Anant. He is the person who is familiar with the working of this. Yes, Anant.
Right, Professor Rao. Dr. Yasir, in Jammu and Kashmir, the implementation of the children-related laws is catching up speed, right? The commission is going to be set up soon. ICPS has been rolled out full scale, and I'm aware that there is a problem with the shortage of institutions. But as far as the juvenile police station is concerned, there is no need, neither there is any law which requires a special police station to be created for juveniles. There is a requirement that every district has a special juvenile police unit. And I'm personally aware that that there is a High Court initiative which requires Jammu and Kashmir government to set up a department on child rights. So there is a lot of progress happening as we speak, right? So let's see, Dr. Yasir, many of your concern you can also take up directly with the department there. And of course, many of us are, working with the department, with our friends over there. So things are moving very fast. And of course, being a state which has been turbulent for a very long time, there are also very unique challenges. So specifically with regard to functioning of police and fast disposal of cases in the juvenile court, right? So I don't know what I can say about the dedicated police, but the dedicated police and the exclusivity has been introduced in the 2015 Act. And nationally, there is an effort to persuade the police to create a exclusive cadre. India is a country where police population ratio is very poor, one of the lowest ratio in the world we have. So of course, the exclusivity is challenging to bring in because police finds very difficult to have only one officer. But I am sure, and the lawmakers are sure, that the exclusivity of the officer is required, and that is going to come very soon. Please carry on with your efforts in this regard. We all are with you. Professor Rao?
Yeah, Anant, just to, you are rightly said, exclusivity is the major spirit behind the 2015. What we need is, of course, you need to have, as you said, special cadre, because implementation of the child rights law requires sensitive, motivated, committed functionaries, those who implement it. And it is, I think we are lagging behind. In what is required is an attitudinal change. Attitudinal change of the police. I think that's a larger challenge. I don't know how we will bring in, because can the police who works in the child special police unit, whether that change of temporary attitudinal change, child friendly, how do we make it is a challenge. But of course, there are very good juvenile police units that have been working. We could look at what are the best practices, and then we will try slowly, incrementally. But the challenge is this attitudinal change in the police. When the work in a normal policing is different, when the work in the juvenile justice and child related issues is much more sensitivity, commitment is required.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bharti? You've been raising, sorry.
Yes. Greetings to the distinguished guests and to all colleagues. I'm Bharti from National University Delhi. I'm teaching here. So in times of disaster, especially the present pandemic, we observe that children and women, of course, who are the vulnerable sections, they are really at the receiving end. And when we look at their, say, rehabilitation and their, their well-being, then community-based extension services, which has been emphasized, can certainly be entailed. And when you're looking at institutional care systems, which really crop up and which are the mainstay, then especially the oversight, activities from the community end can be utilized, especially the senior residents of the neighboring areas, or even the school, the kind of teachers. Their services can be utilized, for overseeing because there is a lot of exploitation and child abuse in the institutions, as we are aware of, of different reports emanating from different parts of the country. Moreover, the family-based, the childcare is considered to be certainly much more stable, or it is much more, it is in terms of the psychological, emotional well-being of the child, it is considered to be better. So herein again, sponsorship, maybe the kind of those aspects which have been ignored so far, foster homes, or of course the adoption, again, these all the legal frameworks pertaining to them can be also improved upon, so that the ultimately the best interest of the child can be served. So I would just, this is a comment as well as a question to Dr. Sthana, that if you could please, observe on this, make an observation on this. Thank you.
Bharti, I do not have a response to what you said, but I definitely agree with the comments which you have made. The non-institutional measures are really the way out. The over-dependence on institutions is not okay. Not okay. Doesn't matter how much effort we make. Globally, I remember a few years ago in UK, there was a report placed in the parliament saying that locking up institutions, locking up children in the institutions is like collecting gunpowder at one place. That dangerous it is considered for children, for society. Nothing good comes out from these custodial institutions. So really, ma'am, what you said is about alternative measures, family-based, community-based programs, which Ashutosh also flagged in his brief lecture, is really the way out. And that is also cost effective. The amount of money we put into institution is really not going to serve the kind of purpose if the same kind of money is diverted into non-institutional measures. Only thing with the non-institutional measures, it really requires the best of the skills. Mediocrity cannot bring non-institutional measures on ground. So we really need good professionals, high caliber, qualified professionals, and that is where role of academicians like you come in. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Thank you, Anant. Jeet, you have a question?
Oh, yeah, thank you. Very good morning, friends. This question is addressed to Anant Kumar and the Department of Law and Justice. And I appreciate the efforts put in by Asthana ji to espouse the causes of child rights. So the question is related to right to education vis-a-vis prohibition of child labor. Have you conducted the impact analysis of this right to education on child prohibition? Is there any empirical research conducted by anyone? If that is the case, what are the findings, and then what are the policy changes that have been introduced by the respective agencies? Thank you.
Ashutosh, you want to take it up?
I can only share. We have this law. I can share the progress. Earlier, this was part of our directive principle, but in so many years now, it's a part of our fundamental right. And definitely, when we signed and ratified this UNCRC or various international instruments, we said it's a matter of progressive realization. So definitely, sir, I agree with you. We definitely require more resources for addressing issue of right to development of children and strengthening our institutions, our educational institutions, so that there's a proactive check at the community level. This number of children is from these villages. These villages are not attending schools. why they are not attending a school, who's responsible for these things. I think in this regard, definitely the concerned ministry, now we have Ministry of Education, and we can share, and definitely they are watchful, and we wish, and I agree with you, sir, and we want, there's also a reservation for 25% reservation for economically weaker sections, children from economically weaker sections. There are development engagement happening within the with the school authorities, with community representatives, how to address this issue also. You have a school in vicinity, but they are not allowing those children, and a child is also not comfortable if they're feeling a kind of discrimination within the school. So as a collective responsibility, this is our collective responsibility to engage with key officials of such institutions or department ministries to address or collectively raise our voices for increased allocation for children. Sir.
Can I add to that?
Yeah, please. Sir.
आशुतोष जी, जो लॉ जो है 2016 में बना था, प्रोहिबिशन, एंड मैंने कुछ रिसर्च किया है, थिंग्स आर नॉट चेंज, वो जैसे का वैसा ही है. हमने कुछ रिसर्च,
आपका रिसर्च जो है वो हम लोग शेयर कर सकते हैं. if you want to share your findings, we can definitely share with the concerned officials this by submission. Yeah, yes.
In case you are ready to fund some scheme at national level, we are ready to conduct empirical research, but provided some funding is required.
Yes, sir. We have dedicated ministry. We can directly engage with that ministry and officials. Those are responsible for such implementation. So we can directly engage. Yes, yes.
No, Pratham and NIPA has been doing a wonderful work. In fact, NIPA was instrumental in this spearheading this legislation. If you look at every year, the report NIPA is bringing about, and also the several people. In fact, I remember Shanta Sinha always used to say, what she used to say is, if a student is not in the school, means he is working somewhere. And we have seen, I think Bharti also has pointed out, Ananta Asthana has said, pandemic increased dropout rate of the children, particularly girl children. I think there's several researchers, people have been working on right to education, but we will look at how it can be. Yeah, Shika want to say something?
Yeah.
Mihira,
Shika. Yes.
Yeah, I think we have time for just one more question, so I'll give it to Shika. You're muted, Shika. Can you unmute yourself?
So very good afternoon to everyone, especially Rao sir and all the leading academicians and everyone, activists and lawyers who are here today. And in Department of Justice, there's one thing which I really want to offer actually at this stage, taking clue from understanding the word Mr. Rao said, sir, that we need that kind of attitudinal change and the exclusivity and the sensitivity that we are talking of. And there has to be that bottoms up approach, which Bharti ji has also said, coming right from the parents to the families, seeping into the communities, going into the real function, the executive side, the police and everyone to go. What I have right now, if I could really offer, and I really was thinking about some concrete action plan to come up. So the kind of program that I've been working for the past 4 years was this telelaw program, where there is this grassroots volunteers. There's a cadre of 4 lakh village level entrepreneurs and paralegal volunteers. They try to connect people to the lawyers to get that legal advice, a legal consultation, a first GPS, where I should go from, whether I'm really affected, whether my right or entitlement is in question. So with all your efforts and the kind of research and the intellect that you all carry, I have a cadre of 4 lakh volunteers, and I have a cadre of 100, and now it's going to be more than 300 plus panel lawyers dedicated, who will be giving legal advice and consultation on different topics from where they can take their case on forward. So talking about that exclusivity, if we can come up with some kind of sensitive child rights capsule, some child rights training module, some quick things that a panel lawyer should have when talking if they get a child to have a conversation with respect to their case to a panel lawyer. Because what I've seen is a lot of cases during this time, which I was reading, has shifted. I have come across cases of POCSO where the child knew that there is some sensitivity, but the police authority did not know whether to take it up. The father did not know how to go about with it, and the panel lawyer was totally insensitive to handle that case. The child wanted to talk to the lawyer to say something happening, number one. Number two, what I saw, there was a rise of a lot of online pornography issues that I've heard about, and online cyber stalking that I've seen, and a lot of cases which have come, and that too are coming from rural India. Let me be very honest, they're coming from rural India, and they're coming of people, children now posting their photos, which gets morphed and used in some other angle. So what I'm trying to hint is that digital India is becoming empowered. Digital India, they're questioning. And Jeet sir, I've also come up from cases from rural India where the girls are asking about, they come to know about a certain scheme, and the lawyers do not know about that scheme. They are the schemes about social entitlements, about their scholarship things. They want to know where the fund is going, and the panel lawyer does not know where to route them, where to really take them. So if that kind of action plan and module can be prepared under your aegis with all the people from the academicians, and my thing is I can bring across the entire workforce to you. They can be trained, they can be taken down, further studies can be taken up. How does it really got percolated in the society? If this kind of action-oriented research with some kind of capsule could be taken up, this is going to be a collaborative effort with optimum utilization of resources. So I'm giving you the entire experiment zone. Please use the workforce we have. If you have good training modules and something, we will provide you the panel lawyers, we will provide you the grassroots workers. And I'm telling you, sir, with all my sincerity, with I've worked with these people, they want to be taught. They really are reading, they really look forth, and they really took up one line also, they take up from the something. They want to go ahead and imply it. So this is my suggestion, this is my offering, this is my consultative team effort, if we can really take this webinar one step forth from here. So that's what I wanted to say. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ashutosh and Shika. I think this is what what we carry from today's webinar is how do we strengthen paralegal services, which was introduced. I remember I was associated directly or indirectly in 2009, introducing paralegals term phraseology cadre in 2009. And then we have seen over 11, 12 years. I know when Justice Lokur was the looking after the juvenile justice, with the UNICEF, we tried to put what are the best practices. Legal aid is established. Still something needs to be done. What is required, as Ashutosh said, is paralegal is the best suited to bring the community with the child welfare, child protection, putting them together, bring the justice concern. I think that's the gap vacuum. I think you have rightly highlighted, Shika. I think Mihira would be the best person to say what she is planning with Anant Asthana here. I think we will be happy to do. How do we take it forward? You can discuss with Mihira. Yes, over to Mihira.
Yes, absolutely, Shika. That's an extremely generous offer that you're making, and we'll definitely be in touch about preparing such a module and getting the relevant details from the Department of Justice as well as from advocates and activists like Anand. But I'll be reaching out to you in the days to come to take this forward for sure.
If you can need an initial ice-breaking session with these lawyers who come from district courts, you want to discuss with them the kind of cases they hear online from the villagers, from the children and the parents of the rural community, I can always offer you that kind of one-to-one interaction and a webinar like this, or whatever you need, or an interaction session. So take that offer. Anand, it would be great, and everyone, it would be great if you have that kind of interaction, so they can really apply it in their lives.
Yeah, wonderful. May I now invite our Honorable Registrar of National Law University, Delhi, to provide the closing remarks and the vote of thanks for what has been a really enriching session. Over to you, Professor Goyal.
Yeah, thanks, Meera. Thanks. Good afternoon to all of you. First of all, it was honestly a very enriching lecture. It was a learning experience. So I'll just take from Professor Rao's whatever he has said. Like he said, 1992 we ratified CRC, and which we all know that it is one of the very few international conventions we have which have achieved universality. Like no state can say no to it. Like no state can say no to UDHR. That's a human rights of is available. They have arrived at a customary kind of a significance. Similarly, the Child Rights Convention is also have achieved that kind of a status. We ratified, and post ratification, we overhauled our laws. We set right, let's only not care, but protection also is required. So we have come a long way, what I would say. But definitely, I agree, the pace is quite slow in India. Like you can see the gaps. 1992 we ratified. 2002 we made 21A incorporated into our constitution because it's a legal literacy week. So I'll try to connect education with child rights, because human rights are first of all child rights, and then they become adults' human rights, what we think of. So unless and until we provide models, good models for children, there is nothing which we can do. So what I say, attitudinal change, as Professor Rao said, first of all, we'll have to introspect ourselves. We'll have to see where is lacking, what we are lacking in all. And then if we are going to be concerned with children, I'm not talking about rights. Firstly, rights have corresponding duties. So we'll have to see, not parents, not guardians, not anyone, but only community, society, every one of us, like Mr. Aftab also said, like there has to be community participation. There has to be, society should come forward. We'll not see whose child he or she is. We'll have to grow. We'll have to let them grow. That atmosphere, that environment, that schooling, that development, growth has to be ensured. And that has to come from us. We'll come to law and literacy later on. First would be the proper nourishment, nutrition, growth, and then comes education, and then comes higher education and growth and development. So all these principles, if we see, they are there in CRC. There are 4 themes basically. I'll just because of scarcity of time, I'll just major things I'll flag. There are 4 things. Firstly, let them survive, survival rights. CRC focuses on survival rights, and then it talks about development rights. First, we'll have to check our infant mortality rates. Definitely, we are making it better, but then we'll have to see how good development is. And that is like Article 47. We have everything in our constitution. If you see, read it clearly, it's everywhere. And we should not distinguish part 3, part 4, because part 4 is mostly read into part 3. It has become mostly unforeseeable, and most of the times it has already been enforced. So right to standard of living, nutrition, quality of life, all this is there. 47, that is child's development, nutrition, survival, we'll have to ensure. Then comes protection. Automatically you need to protect, and for that you all know our articles 23, 24, rights to like child labor, trafficking, all this is there. Again, we are very far off in realization, ensuring these rights. Child labor, in spite of ratifying those conventions, ILO conventions, still we can't afford to abolish, prohibit child labor. And that is why 2016 we came up with an amendment. Child labor Child and Adults and Labor Prohibition and Regulation Act, Amendment Act of 2016. So we made this kind of amendment. We divided children into two, 6 to 14 and 14 to 18. So some things adolescents can do, but otherwise children till 14 years of age, they have been prohibited in all kinds of mines, factories, hazardous employments. So we are progressing. My point is we are progressing, we are doing, and everything is there in our constitution. So survival rights are there. I would say 15.3, clause 3 of Article 15. That is special protections required for women and children. We all know from day one. Then we talk about right to life. That is a very fundamental basic right, where we have already read right to education, right to leisure, right to nutrition, everything. So everything we have read into Child to Article 21. Right to sleep even is a fundamental right, if you know. Then for development, we have already have 21A, 45. That is early childhood care, which is missing even in our NEP, our National New Education Policy. If you know, that starts from 3 to 6. RTE Act takes care of 6 to 14 free and compulsory education. Education policy of 2020 takes care of 3 to 6 years, but 0 to 3 nobody has taken care of. And here I'll just point out that a Nobel laureate James Hackerman has already given a very interesting empirical study that if you spend $1 in preschool or from the age 0 to 3, you will get $14–15 per children return. So better if you invest early, you are going to get multiple results out of that. If you invest in children of more than 5 years, then for $1, you are going to get $1 to $4 return. And beyond that, after 16 years, you are going to get less than $1. So my anxiety is because there are so many learned persons, policymakers and policy implementers. So I would request you to please see that 0 to 3 years of age is also very, very important. This is the age when brain is going to develop at the most. So this has been lacking since our independence. Whereas if you see, Article 45 clearly talks about early childhood care. Then I come to 2016 Global Strategy for Women and Children, which is also United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, which we are going to achieve by 2030. Here also they have said, survive, thrive, and transform. So here I would say we have achieved at a level that where we can survive. We are starting to thrive, and then automatically in maybe, I'm very optimistic, I'll say in 10 years, we may be able to transform whatever is lacking. As Professor Maan has also said, Ashutosh sir also said that we are in that process that we are going to do the things better. Empirical analysis would be there, studies would be there, impact analysis would also be there. So definitely in the next decade, we'll have to transform everything, and especially with regard to children. Then third category, third theme of CRC is third is protection, where you can also add Article 22. So whatever rights we have, children also have the similar rights. They need special protection. They need special care. They need special rights because they are vulnerable sections of society. We have all those rights. Apart from that, everything, whatever is there for us, that is there for children also. And then last is participation. I think that is slightly lacking in our society. We do not allow children to raise their voices, to express their beliefs, to express their opinions. So here we'll have to be more open, that listen to children, their needs carefully. And I would say this is the good thing, the only good thing we are getting out after pandemic. That now in digital India, students or children, young children have started learning new things. They have those resources now in their hands. They know what to say, how to say, what to see, what to do. They know what is happening all around. All those students who were in rural areas, they are also now digitally active. So we'll have to allow them more participation. And Article 19, right to speech, right to express, everything is there for us as well as for children, which we slightly ignore sometimes. So in a way, we have ratified CRC, we all agree, and many things we have done also, but definitely miles to go before we achieve that kind of status where children are part of us. So we'll have to provide them something good to imitate, something, because we know they're great imitators. That monkey story is always there in our minds. So we'll have to give them something which is great. We'll have to provide them great models, not critiques. Whereas we are always criticizing our children, but otherwise they are more grown up, they are more understanding, more generous than all of us. I would say this. So these are my views, and even we can look for Lanson series of 2016 for all this early childhood care from science to scale. So this is the area, 2 areas I am flagging today. 2 areas, early childhood care and education. That we need to do a bit more. Otherwise, we are doing, and definitely we'll reach somewhere also, whatever we want to. So these are my 2-3 pointers where you can think of, and I'm always with you wherever I can do, whatever I can do, even a small effort, I would be available all the times. So thank you, Professor Rao, for organizing, for allowing us to organize this enriching lecture. You instigated me that CRC have been ratified, and now what happened all these years? The 30 years have passed, and whatever we could do, we'll have to introspect, we'll have to analyze. So thank you, sir. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your introductory remarks. And then Mr. Aftab Muhammad gave me that thing that community has to come forward. He gave me those things like unless and until community, society participate and there is oversight mechanism, not that kind of oversight. We don't need sanctional mechanism. It has to be supporting mechanism. Then only we can progress. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your lecture. And Mr. Anant Asthana, he talked about empirical studies. I just pointed out, he talked about laws. We have so many laws, 10 laws, more than 10 laws. We have Law Commission of India reports also. We are working day and night. There are so many judgments, but definitely there is much to do. I agree with him, there is much to do. Thank you, Asthanaji. Thank you for your empirical analysis, case-to-case analysis. And Mr. Ashutosh Srivastava, he is the leading man here, like he is the policy maker, he is the person whom I would be referring to, like please just take care of whatever my concerns are and all others' concerns are, and please allow us to do some more projects and studies where we can analyze impact analysis of laws, children, and all those paralegal things. Thank you, sir. Thank you for being here. And this webinar would not have been possible without the support of Common Services Center e-Governance. I'm thankful to them as well as our IT team. And I would be thankful to all the participants who on Sunday also are able to join, take their time out and being here. So thank you all of you for joining this webinar. And I hope you must have got some enrichment, some knowledge, and some kind of interest also in child rights. Must be you were working already, but now because of this August gathering, you must got something new also. And last but not the least, this would not have been happened without the efforts of Mihira, our director of our Child Rights and Juvenile Justice Center. So thank you, Mihira, for organizing it and like collecting us, organizing this seminar on Sunday even so that we can be here. At least 2 hours we could spend on something, some learnings. Thank you, Mihira. Thank you all. Thank you everyone.